Idan in Adlit, Israel. I get to ship a frame to Israel. How about that? That's my first time. Anyway, hey, forgive my manners. This is Matthew at freeprescriptionlenses.com. And with the help of my GoPro camera, I'm going to show you how I cut prescription lenses for your RayBan 5301 color 2000, which is the classic shiny black, in size, what is that? Size 51. If you have a QR scanner, anyone out there, and you want to find out information on this frame, now's the time to scan that barcode. So let's go ahead and take it out of the original packaging that RayBan sends it to me. It comes with the cool red case with the RayBan printed on the button. The all red case, which is red on the inside with the red textured cleaning cloth with RayBan printed all over it. And this is your frame. Back to the geek chic look, the classic black. And if you notice what just fell off, this is a little plastic sleeve that RayBan puts on there when they send it to me, so the temples don't rub together during shipping. If they think it's a good idea to send it to me with one, well, by golly, I'm going to put a second one on this size. It's actually marked the Legends collection. I'm really glad you had me order this. So the RayBan 5301 color 2000, size 51, with a 17 bridge and a 145 temple length, which means from this to the center of this screw hole back is 145 millimeters. It is 51 millimeters from the corner of this lens to the corner of the other, with a 17 millimeter bridge, which is the distance between the lenses. So I got a lot of ground to cover. Let me keep going because I want to show you all this with your lenses darkening before the end of the video. So I'm going to pop the original demo lenses out that one of them says RayBan. I'm going to put your frame into my Santinelli LE1000 patternless edger, or as I like to say, the Santinelli LE1000 patternless edger. And as the stylus is now tracing the shape of your right lens, and it's going to move over and trace the shape of your left lens. Here at freeprescriptionlenses.com, where you buy the frame and you get the free prescription lenses or clear lenses, but in your case you are getting the free clear lenses. Now, you paid for the upgrade to the transition and to the anti-glare, which I will show you all the functions of those in just a moment. So I'm pulling up the shape of your lens. I'm going to type in your pupillary distance, which is 59. Type that into the computer. Hopefully you see 59. This is a polycarbonate lens. I am going to cut it on the soft cycle, which means it cuts a little bit slower. And this is for a Xyl frame, which is an old school name for plastic. Right now, all the plastics seem to be out of acetate. It is now 7:55, Wednesday, April 9th, 67 degrees Fahrenheit, in my hometown of Durham, North Carolina, which is on the east coast of the United States, halfway between Washington, D.C. and Atlanta, halfway between Miami and New York City. So your right lens reads +1 1/4, -1/4. The axis is 120. So I'm going to take your lens out of its protective wrapper, put it into my Marco 101 lensometer, spin the axis wheel to 120, put the power of +1 1/4 into the power drum, and now I'm actually going to put your lens in, spin it around till I find the optical center that the sphere power comes in perfectly. I'm going to check your astigmatism, which I'll explain in just a moment. I'm going to put some red dots on your lenses. I'm going to darken those red dots so you can see them at home and mark that right. So I'm going to put that on the blocker for now. Let's go ahead and do the left lens, which reads +2 -1/4 at 33. So I spin the axis wheel to 33. Where's 33? You're on here. There we go. The power is +2 -1/4. So I spin the power drum to +2. Put it in the, find the optical center. Make sure the sphere power comes in perfectly. Test the cross curve, which is your astigmatism. Put the red dots on there. Darken those red dots. Sorry, as I have to hold this up to the light to see them. My ink's not as good as it used to be. And I'm going to mark that left. Now I need to put a block on here so while it stays inside the lens cutting, the frame, the machine, the edger. So I'm going to put this block on there. I'm going to use a double-sided adhesive sticker. The black side is the sticky side. I'm going to put this on, stick that on there, peel away the back side. And now what I'm doing is I have a graph, which you can't see, but I'm lining it up so that the optical centers line up perfectly, just like the crosshairs of a scope. In fact, when I flip that over, you can see the red dot, which is going to be sitting right on your pupil. I'm going to do the same thing for the left. Put a block there, put a little sticky pad on here, peel away the back side, and then drop that down. And hopefully I can do this fast enough. One more thing I want to do, because you upgraded to the anti-glare coating. one of the side effects of that anti-glare coating is it's hydrophobic, which is good because you never have to use liquid to clean it, because now it means that it hates liquid. But it is slippery while cutting, so I'm putting an extra little sticker on this backside so it doesn't slip in this chuck while it is cutting. Hello, Chuck. Excuse me, Charles. So the first thing that's going to happen, the LMU is going to come down and trace the shape of your frame onto the lens to make sure it's large enough to cut out. It's going to trace the shape of, well, it's going to trace the concave side of your lens first, which is closest to your eyelashes. Then it's going to trace the outside of the lens, which is the convex side, which is away from the face. The actual cutting wheel is down here on the left of the three wheels. It is the wheel on the left. It's the lighter color. It's like a heavy grit sandpaper that's going to grind away your polycarbonate material. This wheel in the center with that channel, that little valley, is what's going to put the bevel onto the lens, a knife-like bevel, so it stays inside the bevel of the frame. I will have to close the door, but for now I just want you to see as your prescription lens touches the cutting wheel. Now starting very slowly because of that anti-glare. So, your lenses are made of the polycarbonate, as you see here, which is 40% thinner and lighter than regular plastic. They are virtually unbreakable. Your lenses, believe it or not, are bulletproof up to 22 caliber and has both UVA and UVB protection. The reason why that's there is we know what the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays can do to your skin. Your eyes are 8 times more sensitive than your skin, so this is permanent sunscreen for your eyes. You never have to reapply it. This is permanent. And I can imagine in Israel, in Atlit, which is right on the coast, you get lots of sun. You get your own personal sun that follows you around no matter where you go. The lens is starting to take shape. You notice it's still completely flat at the edges. It has not had a chance to put the bevel onto the lens. This edger, which is manufactured right across the Mediterranean from you in Italy, runs for $30,000 US. I recommend everyone go out and get one, put it on your kitchen counter, and then you can cut lenses at home. So, 20 years ago, I spent about 9 months in Israel. I spent 5 months on Kibbutz Keturah, down south, about 45 minutes just north of Eilat. And then the last 3 or 4 months I spent studying at Or Sameach University. It was a good chance to live in Jerusalem. Everyone should go to Yerushalayim, as they say. Great, great, wonderful place. So much beauty, so much history, so much meaning, so much passion. It has something for everybody. Hopefully everyone in their life who wants to see it gets a chance to. Now if you notice, the water is just kicked in to clean away any optical debris, any optical sawdust, if you will. Up until then, this polycarbonate material cuts dry, where plastic and high index cuts wet. This is the only time of the cycle where water actually kicks in for a polycarbonate lens. Polycarbonate was first invented as a substitute fuel line, as a gas line on U.S. Jeeps in World War II. They used a glass gas line. And just with rocks, bumps, the roads, anything flying up, explosions, bullets, if that glass gas line were to break, you now have highly flammable fuel spilling around all over the place. So they decided, let's try and make a material that is very hard to break. So they succeeded in doing that, and it wasn't until years later they were able to figure out other uses for it. They've refined the polycarb even further into Kevlar, and this is the same material, well, much, much upgraded, is what they make bulletproof vests out of. So that's why this is such a high-quality ophthalmic lens. Now, you still have a little bit of rough edges here, so I'm going to use my handstone, which is completely flat. I can put my hand on it while it's running, and my hands get warm from the friction, but that's about it. But I'm going to put what's known as the safety bevel around the edge of your lens. This white material is called Schwarf. May the Schwarf be with you if you're a Mel Brooks fan, but it's not, so I'm going to scrape it off, and actually I have it all here on the counter. Can you see that? Once I have it collected nice and cleanly on the counter, what do? Yep, I wipe it on the floor. This is where I say, kids, stay in school. I went to school for years to learn how to wipe stuff on the floor. Be like me, stay in school and learn to make a mess. So to see if this fits, I tuck it in at the outside corner first, and then using my thumbs, I press down. It's still a little snug. I don't want to force it in there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your lens down 1/10 of a millimeter. And then I'm going to put it back into the machine. The right lens takes a little bit longer. I just want to get the lens just the perfect size. Then I'll flip over and cut the left. Now you can always cut more off of a lens. You can never add it back on. So that's why I go a little bit slow. Yeah, one thing I remember about living in Jerusalem is the street vendors who are selling falafel. It was so good. And of course I was young. I was in my 20s. I was broke. So for $1, I would get this humongous pita sandwich stuffed with falafel. Of course, it was a whole pita. Over here in America, they cut it in half, and you get half a sandwich, and they call that a sandwich. Over there, they tear just the top part off of a pita, stuff it full of falafel. Then you've got the tahini, the salad, as they call it, which we call salad. And, of course, the hot sauce they put on there that was, man, good hot sauce. Over here, they just don't make falafel like that. I did have the chance to go down to Cairo to see the pyramids and the Egyptian Museum, and right outside the Egyptian Museum in Cairo was a street vendor. Some of the best falafel I've ever had. He was actually from Lebanon. He said it was his grandmother's recipe, and I don't know what he did. I think he put crack in it, to be honest with you, because it was that good. I'd almost fly back to Cairo just for that if I could find that guy 20 years later. So, this is your case that you will be receiving. I will send you cleaning instructions on how to care for your cleaning cloth and your case so it'll last you for years. No other seller on the internet is offering you these services. Only me. Only me will show you your lenses being made. How's that? So, back to the handstone, back to the safety bevel, back to using my thumbnail scrape the schwarf off your lenses. And I do this so much, I've worn a V-shaped bevel into my thumbnail. My friends call it my occupational thumbnail. I'm going to dry your lens off. What did I forget to do? That's right, wipe that on the floor. Okay, my wife hates it when I do that. Sorry, honey. Okay, so again, I'm going to tuck it in at the outside corner, which is closest to me, and using my thumbnails, I press down, it snaps in perfectly. So now I want to flip over and cut your left lens. Flip that over to the left and hit start. And just like before, the LMU is going to come down and trace the shape of your frame, of the left lens of the frame onto the lens. Tracing the convex side of the lens first, and then scooting over, tracing the concave. I'm sorry, let me back up. I'm getting ahead of myself. It is tracing the concave side of the lens first, closest to your eyelashes. Now it is going to trace the convex side of the lens. So, Ido, and Atlit Israel. How many languages do you speak? You can probably say this a whole lot easier than me. So we are just about to start the left lens, and then I'm going to show you as your lens darkens, once everything is done. Now, I want to go ahead and continue working on your right lens now that the left lens is cutting. This material is called the deblocker. I'm going to put this in there. Flip down, rotate this a little bit. This pulls the block off of your lens. I'm going to pull the sticker off now that that is no longer needed. I'm going to pull the blue sticker off the back side now that that is no longer needed. And what we have left, if you can see, that red dot is going to be your pupillary distance. That's going to sit right in front of your pupil. But I want to move back over. I'm going to test your right lens. I'm going to spin the axis back to 120. The axis wheel. Come here, 120. Where are you? There you are. I'm going to put this right in, this red dot right in front of the viewfinder on my lensometer. And I'm going to bring your spherical power into focus, which is plus 1 1/4. If you can see that, you have plus 1, 1 1/4, 150, 175, 2. And how your prescription works, and hang on, we still have a quarter sill of astigmatism, so I'm going to spin that. That comes into focus, and now we're back to plus 1. The way this works, your right lens, plus 1 1/4 minus 1/4 at 120. The unit of measurement in the optical field is called a diopter. It is spelled D-I-O-P-T-E-R. It runs in quarter increments, so it starts off at 0, which means plano. moves to plus a quarter, plus 50, plus 75, plus 1, plus 1 and a quarter. So you are on the 5th rung of a ladder without your glasses on in your left and your right eye. Everything is too small, so when you put your glasses on, it magnifies to the correct size. So you need 5 steps of correction. If this were a ladder, you're on the 5th rung. You have the smallest amount of astigmatism you could have at a quarter. There is a stigma over the word astigmatism. It just means shape. It's like saying someone has straight hair, someone has curly hair. This first box magnifies everything to the correct size. Your astigmatism takes away the fuzzy edges. So makes everything the right size, makes everything clear. The 120 just tells us the fine tune knob, tune everything to 120. Imagine the straight line here being 0 to 180. If I were to rotate this, this would be 90 now, so 120 would be about right here. So we're turning the knob right there to make this perfectly clear. If you had no astigmatism correction and you had a completely round John Lennon frame and a frame like this that is held together with an eye wire screw where you don't pop the lens in, but if this screw were to come loose and your lens rotates, you would not see as well as you do. It has to be rotated right to 120. Now your left eye is plus 2 minus a quarter at 33, so you need 8 steps of correction. You're actually on the 8th rung of a ladder, still only a quarter amount of astigmatism correction, the cylinder. So astigmatism makes 6s and 8s look alike. The letters P and F look alike, so that's what makes everything so nice and crisp. So again, you have some rough edges. I'm going to use my hand stone to smooth everything out. Use my occupational thumbnail to scrape it off your lens and drop it on the counter. And now just to show off a little bit, how about a little behind the back technique onto the floor? Woo! Kids, let me teach you how to do that. It's alright, I'm going to dry everything off again and go ahead and get your left lens mounted. I'm going to bring the empty side closest to me. I'm going to tuck the outside corner in first, and then using my thumbs, I press down the blocks right there. I press down at the corner if I can get my things around it, but it's still a little snug. So I'm going to take this down a little bit more, 1/10 of a millimeter. And what I do with my PD stick, a millimeter, of course everyone there in Europe and Israel knows what a millimeter is. In America and England we still use inches, but a millimeter is the distance between my thumbnails. I'm going to take 1/10 of a millimeter off of the circumference of your lens. It's just going back to the bevel wheel, it's not going to the handstone. I was going to take 1/10 off all the way around just to make it a little bit smaller. Your left lens is a little bit stronger by 3 steps, so it's just a hair thicker, and that's probably why it doesn't want to go in. So I'm going to take it down just a little bit more, and then I'm going to show you as your lens darkens. Now you upgraded to the transition that turns from virtually clear to dark outside. The anti-glare coating, it eliminates glare when dry. It's actually 3 features, but primarily it eliminates glare when driving at night, particularly driving at night in the rain, which you never get in Israel, but everyone else out there listening, it's a really nice feature. But it also eliminates glare from street lights, stoplights, computer screens, overhead lights, fluorescent lights. Some people get it for the feature I'm about to talk about. It's an anti-reflection lens, meaning it's reflection free. So this is a lens that does not have the coating compared to the one that's in there now. As I move it, you can see the reflection of the fluorescent lights above me onto the lens on the left, but not on yours. So when someone's looking at you, they're not looking at their reflection in your glasses, so it makes for much better eye contact. But the single reason everyone buys it, if someone takes a picture with a flash, you don't see the flash lit up in the lens, you see just your eyes. The third feature that I like, it comes with a extremely strong scratch coating. It's the industry's best scratch protection that goes on a lens. Now, nothing on God's green earth is unscratchable, but with that coating, this goes a long way to stop your lens from being scratched. So again, I just want to put the safety bevel on there. Use my thumbnail to scrape away the swarf. Real quick onto the floor. Come on, kids, you got to be quick to watch this one. Dry everything off again. Now let's try and get this mounted. I'm going to tuck the lens in at the outside corner, and then using my thumbs, press down at the nose. It snaps right in. I'm going to de-block your lens. Pull the sticker off. Pull the backside sticker off. I'm going to put it in over that red dot there. I'm going to spin the axis wheel of your left lens back to 33, just so I can verify the prescription. That is on 33. Put the red dot in right in the middle of the viewfinder, and I pull in a power of +2. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to back up just a little bit, 1/4 step to correct for the astigmatism. Now I'm going to hold this pad up. Those 2 red dots are exactly where your eyes are going to sit, which is 59 millimeters apart. I'm going to use my PD stick, which stands for pupillary distance stick. And when I put it on your right lens here, starting at 0 and move over, it comes up to 59, which is your, hopefully you can see that, my GoPro camera should be good enough. So that is your pupillary distance made perfectly. I am going to get your frame in standard alignment, meaning a 3-point stance. Those 3 points are 1, 2, and the bottom of the frame being 3. When I set it on the counter, put my thumbs down, there is no wobble. I flip it over, do the same thing, whereas mine, I have a pair of mine, I have one ear that's higher than the other, so when I put mine down, you can see the wobble of my glasses. You do not have that in yours. The other thing I want to test is to make sure that each temple overlaps perfectly in the same amount of tension on both sides. I am going to use my optical grade acetone now to clean off my red dots and any residue from the stickers that I used. Now 99% of all optical shops do free adjustments. So if there's one near you, if these are too loose or too tight, or if they're sitting uneven, because if you're like me, has one ear that's higher than the other, 80% of people have one ear that's higher than the other. That's why all glasses need to be adjusted.